Welcome to this World AIDS Day special in association with Scotiabank and our CBMP host station, the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. I'm Corey Lane with
Tisha Hines, and together we are delighted to be joining you across the Caribbean for this special program with the sights, sounds, and sentiments of a new generation confronting this epidemic.
Scotiabank has been living up with us as a regular LIVEUP partner for Regional Testing Day, and now they're joining us to mark this important day. So we want to ask our young studio audience, this World AIDS Day, are you living up, or are you saying enough with HIV already? Are we reaching you? If not, why not? What works and what doesn't?
Here in the Caribbean, statistics show that by the end of 2012, an estimated 230,000 people were living with HIV. Some 12,000 people were newly infected, and 11,000 people died from AIDS. So it means we all still have to live up if you and your children want to be free of HIV.
We know that in the Caribbean, the main route of contracting HIV is heterosexual sex, with sex among men emerging as another major route of transmission. But because of stigma and discrimination, HIV is still being hidden, quietly spreading, and many people are not being tested until it's too late. Now, this piece created quite a stir on social media when it appeared on Live Up the Show. Trinidadian host Reagan Devine spent time in the world of an outspoken transgender sex worker.
All right, I've just shaved my entire face just as a first start to becoming a CSW for one night.
The streets of Curep in Trinidad are renowned for its barbecue, its traffic, and the island's most sought-after doubles. It is also known for its streetwalkers, most recently referred to as CSWs, or commercial sex workers.
To define a CSW is like a bank teller. I'm giving service to a customer and receiving money in return.
In a private location, I met up with Faith.
Faith is a kind, loving individual. When I'm like this, I'm very loving and nice. When I'm like the other person, it's very difficult to deal with me. I'm very moody. But once I'm as Faith, you could get along with me anytime.
Faith, a local CSW, gave me a chance to experience firsthand the very streets she started in.
Some of my friends invited me to go out tonight, and I see how quick the money was, how fast the money was. And sometimes people don't really come. They always tend to say sex workers or CSWs is only about sex. Sometimes we need to sit down and listen to people because people have problems at home. And their wife or the girlfriend wouldn't do that. And you make fast money, so that's what drew me to that.
I have to tell you the truth about something.
What's that?
I'm very scared.
Why you are scared?
I'm scared because I haven't heard good things about commercial sex workers or prostitutes or whores or whatever you call them. I've heard that they go out on the street, they sell their bodies, they have no morals, they have no standards, they're lower than low, they're lower than me, they're lower than the average citizen, they don't deserve respect, and they do it because they're uneducated and they're poor.
You know, society always tend to throw our religion on us, and they always tend to condemn us about what is going on in the Bible. And for far too long, people really don't read the Bible and learn the Bible properly. You know, Mary Magdalene, she was a prostitute, and yet still God saved her. She was selling sex. I am a sexually driven person. I love sex. And instead of me just having sex and not getting anything for it, it's best I have sex and get money for it. They say God made us in his own image and likeness. And before I was created, God already knew what he was creating. So when people trying to condemn you and say all kind of thing, God already know why I'm here. He put me here for a reason and a purpose, and probably this is it. Most of the sex workers that I know went to school, had their education. Some of them have a degree in different things. And most of them live like me.
Protect, love, unconditional love. That means brotherly love, sisterly love, and respect first. Because when you respect yourself, then you can love, and then you'll protect yourself. So it works. So long before you say live up Bob Marley, I say Rasta man live up. We endorse living up full and bright. Yes, sir.
Love, protect, and respect all of them self-respect. Protect yourself, you have to go condom. So I say respect. If you respect people, people are going to respect you no matter what nobody wants to say.
You gotta protect yourself. Kids, you got sexual transmitted disease in your way as obstacles.
Never ever give up. Youths live up. Jah is there to guide you. This is Sizzla Kalunja. You gotta live up.
Together, we can all erase stigma and discrimination and make the difference. So turn up the message now. Live up, love, protect, respect.
We're ready for the rap session. Now, Tisha, for 7 years LIVEUP been going. We have seen the results of our messages. We've seen a reduction
But
of
have we, Corey?
Yes, we have. We've seen reduction in new cases across the Caribbean, but there's still too many new cases. What's happening? Are they getting the message?
So that's the big question. And we have a group of young people here who are representing Barbados. We want to give you a big Bajan welcome and welcome you across the region. Good to have all of you. All right, so Corey, I'm going to let you go in and hold your seat. And the big question is, has there been a message so strong that it has stopped you mid-sex or mid-heat to get a condom?
Well, I do believe so. I've seen a lot of matches on TV, on the radio, and to me, I was in the heat of the moment more than once, where it also reminded me if I'm going to lose, if I'm going to be willing to sacrifice 10 minutes of pleasure to spend the rest of my life either in pain or lifetime suffering. And to me, it's just always remind me. One time, remember, getting a condom was embarrassing something. I believe, oh, no, you're getting a condom, you must have got something. But now I believe it's something much more cool and it's something much more safe. I just believe the message is getting through. Is there any part of any particular message or anything coming out of any message that gave you that kind of behavior change? I guess it's just a whole accumulation of different information and seeing different ads and so forth.
A lot of what happens in Jamaica through their culture and stuff, through the music, a lot of our young people kind of gravitate to it and buy into it. And I know daggering was a big thing. And around that time, I heard a lot of young people talking about condoms bursting. But if we talk about the daggering thing, it's rough sex. Do we need to share more by way of information so that they know how to use the condoms? Because a lot of people say, I had she with 2 condoms. When you put on 2 condoms, you increase the chance of the condoms bursting.
The young people got this thing in the head now, if it rough, it ain't right. If it ain't rough, it ain't right, sorry. So really and truly, in one breath, the daggering thing is it. But everyone in a rough sex know, because that's the society, that's how society got it placed, so or the entertainers or celebrities got certain stereotypes set out to be. So in that aspect, where sex is just it now. Nobody ain't got time now. Or nobody taking the time for love making, being patient, taking the time, slow, getting to know you. I see you know, we got a thing, it can happen right here. And the way how it going now is that like condoms even registering to youngsters now, because like everybody's, as I said, like to feed a little oil on the thing.
LIVEUP had a series, 2 series actually, called Super Sound Check, where we actually interviewed artists, and then they explained that that's a performance. When they're on stage, they're acting, but a lot of them are really responsible in their lives. Do you think something like that, spreading that message from the artists to their fans, that would help in terms of curbing their behavior?
Actually, yes, but honestly, Miss Lena, any day a celebrity can sit wherever sit on TV to make himself sound not like that guy.
It has been challenging in knowing that young students still don't know what HIV stands for, what AIDS stands for, those type of what is sex, how to explore your body, what are the parts of your body. And these are fifth formers, sixth formers, that they don't know how to explain themselves in relationships even, to negotiate sex and that type of thing. Yes, they're young, but realistically, when a parent isn't there or an adult isn't there, sex takes place. And we need to take that into account. And the educators need to realize in order to combat the fight against HIV and AIDS, these things need to be put in place from early.
I think one of the missing elements of the message to me have been the whole thing of abstinence and not having sex. And I think that we run away from it because we believe all young people must be having sex.
I feel they should have more workshops in like schools, especially the secondary schools, because that's where you've got majority of these activities playing out. Like everything you go on Facebook, also you're seeing somebody from Facebook doing all sorts of things, and hardly any condoms you see.
The point that you made that, should go into schools and talk about the condoms and, show the kids how to use the condoms and, dispense condoms. Parents and teachers have a problem when you say, well, we are going to do a condom demonstration. There's such an uproar. You think you told them, well, I'm introducing Ebola to the class. That's honestly what the reaction is. And it makes you go like, but how are these kids supposed to understand what's going on? I mean, you can show them the videos, you can show them, in the books, the notes that we give them, but then to actually give a physical demonstration and not saying, get a man and a woman and do it, but you bring out models. The parents have a problem with this, the teachers have a problem with this.
I had my first sex lesson the first week of secondary school, sitting under a almond tree, and there was a certain girl who obviously knew everything and then some, because in my young head, based on what I had glimpsed, maybe peeping through at the TV and things, sex happened with people in a bed at night with all of their clothes off. So it wasn't possible for people to have sex during the day with clothes on outside of a bed. She turned my world upside down. And there's so many other young people who are out there sharing stories that are not necessarily true. And it's because parents are unwilling to tell young people what's happening.
We're living in a world where mass media and social networking has opened the eyes of the world. People can see, people can hear, and people can understand, they can comprehend. And it's nothing different. The outside woman, the harner man, these things have been going on for decades, for millennium. This just what's going on in the world. And I think with the eyes being open, the blinders being removed, that sex has just come in the open in a way that a lot of the adults, they probably can't handle it.
I get what he's saying totally, and something that's coming out for me is that we need to get the message across to teachers and parents is that either you let the message come across in the proper way with the accurate information, or they're going to find out. As the teacher say, there are a lot of young people out there telling other young people things that are not absolutely correct. And that's why I like to have programs like these, not just for the sake of talking, but for these things to come out and the message to go home, that either you let us tell them or they will find out anyhow, and you may not like how they find out.
We keep speaking about secondary school, we keep speaking, about primary school and referring to class 4, class 3, but the little ones, if it's B, if it's A, they have a sense of what is going on, and that is one. Then we speak about teachers, and even parents, and these are persons who are not even comfortable with their sexuality. They're not even comfortable with speaking about penis and vagina, and even speaking about sex, even calling the words right. I mean, they are not comfortable. So if they are not comfortable with their own self, comfortable with even speaking about it with their own peers, the challenge is how are they going to even communicate what is right to their children?
What about different types of messages? We talked a lot about messages to do with using a condom. What about stigma and discrimination?
We're living in a world with a lot of enmity and a lot of grudge and stuff. The messages, they are being passed. They are hitting home at the end of the day until it reaches you or someone directly connected to you. Well, a lot of people will look past it. I mean, the message might be there when you're in a good mood, but from the time something happens to start that, to change that, like then you have to say, well, sorry, and then that's it. Is if you're big enough, if you're man enough, after having fallen short and probably discriminating or using some form of stigmatization, if you're big enough to then go back and apologize and say, well, I'm sorry that I did this because I'm a human and we make mistakes.
The ignorance to AIDS is still very much there, very much alive still, because you think that for a person to have AIDS, you have to be living a particular life. So I have to be having sex with her, everybody.
You see, I wanna turn up the volume here on this in terms of the stigma. No, you would realize that HIV commissions and LIVEUP, we've been talking a lot about stigma and discrimination as it relates to we saw a piece there as it relates to the transsexual, the transgender, and all of these things, the homosexuals. You want to know? Even myself, I used to wonder why there's the focus, and the reason is because you want to get those persons in for testing, and you don't want them to face that stigma. Have any of the messages touched you as it relates to any stigma or discrimination as it relates to the transgender or the homosexual? I hear people saying no for the HIV, they're not going to share the long neck with them or the one-night man. But as it relates to the sexuality, are any of the messages out there touching anybody?
I've heard of the LIVEUP campaign and whatnot, and there was a period of time I was going to a lot all-inclusive fests, and it wasn't impacting upon me. It only impacted upon me when I was at a fete and I saw this extremely attractive girl, and I hit my partner next to me and they said, "You check she's sexy." And it was a part in time when I was strategizing mentally how I would get close to this girl to dance with she the night time. All these things I planning how I can really get close during the night, and which I knew that when Idonia was gonna play, I was gonna approach, because Idonia has specific songs that would get girls in the gyration and whatnot, and he hit me and said, "Dog, that I got saying though." I said, "You serious?" And he gave me the look. That's when you that look. If he did not highlight to me that she has something, he didn't even went into explanation. I didn't even want it was a full stop. I needed to know no more. He put me on my guard, and that was it. So we need to it needs to become more personalized.
When you think about how impactful a message is, consider not only if it made you change your behavior right away, but how it made you change the way you think. I think that's important too.
If an artist break through and say, young people use condoms, that sort of stuff, they will use them.
Earlier, your friend over here was talking about the expense of condoms, right? Now, if you look at the point that Tisha made and the guy here in the blue shirt, Chet, made, in terms of, you look at people and you can't tell, it reinforces one of the tenets of LIVEUP, protect yourself. What is your thoughts on buying condoms and the price of condoms?
Well, I don't have a problem with buying condoms because I don't care about the cost. I don't want to be suffering from gonorrhea, sniffles, anything like that. Don't mind. Some people got this saying, whoever bring me here can take me out, but I rather not kill me. So a condom could cost $10 for a box. I can buy it. That is happen, because after 2 months of sex and thing, I just come to agreement and say, condoms over. Come on, it's time to get rid of the giraffes, man. And you know what I mean? But after all, though, lately, they have new types of condoms. Some ones that are fairly thin, so I think the fellas out there shouldn't got a problem now with those condoms. Another thing LIVEUP will point out to is that condoms shouldn't be used for anal sex. That's the thing, because I mean, jeez, man.
So what do you use for anal sex if you're not using condoms?
But why should you be having anal sex?
But people do. People are having anal sex.
Yeah,
so
but that one called the condoms to burst.
Funny enough, I went on a block recently, and on the block they say, you know what, puss is for punks, but pooch is for gangsters. But now you turn anal sex on its head. You talk about anal sex female to female, and there's also male to male. So what it tells us, the persons who are making the message, is that we have to continue to keep our ears on the ground. When people begin to think of these things, we continue to ask, are we reaching you? Or about the message, what about the condoms? We have another comment from the silent zone in the back.
How the HIV message get to me? Well, I used to have a lot of sex, unprotected sex, but no, I had a life scare. And that life scare, children would like to know everything have sex, let me make sure you have a condom. And I always ask the female how much partner she had before me. And how much unprotected sex she had, but that whole message get to me as a life scare. Cause I didn't want to catch this. I don't want to catch this, and you have to die, but you don't want to die right now. And that message stand out to me for a time. For a time, I was in the doctor's office till the doctor called me back. I was frightened. I was not having no sex, nothing. I was talking to no girls, nothing. I literally went for a shutdown. And when the doctor told me, well, I'm okay, I rejoiced. I was happy. And from that day to this day, I have never had sex without a condom.
So unless you are Mother Teresa, then, you know, it's absolutely normal to be nervous about it. And I think that's something else that should reinforce why you need to keep yourself protected.
We're talking about condom usage, and we're talking about sex and you know, but then we are faced with the natural body, you know, the natural sense of sexuality and hormonal change, especially amongst adolescents, and wanting to feel wanted and wanting to engage in sexual activity, you know, and they're trying to push a device in between the emotion and the connection, you know. And I think that's where some of the challenges really like.
Little boy was, I think he's now in second form, in secondary school. So he's around like, what, 14, about there. And he got sent home for having a condom, right? And we were just speaking about having more workshops within the schools. Now, I said, I think that what really influenced me a lot to really like sit down and take a good look at how real this situation is from my experience within these schools, and not just seeing how the behavior is of the children, but also the persons who came and persons who actually are affected by living with this condition for their entire life. Now, I say that to say this. He was sent home. Now, what was he sent home for? He was sent home for like a couple of days, almost a whole week, for having a condom. Did he do anything with the condom? He didn't. But when you say that, what kind of message is it really drawing to him?
I personally believe that the message has to be brought to us in a way that we understand it, and the way that we speak. Like being here in the studio, the audience, rapping with you guys, I'm speaking and I'm using standard English. But if it was outside on the corner with you guys, well, believe me, it would talk in a totally different way. Yo, what's going on, father? We're going to kick a scene. We about to survive. Drink same, smoke same, chop same. At the end of the day, if it was to go there and it was to kick it to them the way they feel it. Yo, father, you chopped that thing the other night and you hadn't wrap it up at all. Just that way.
One instance out by me, you know, that this was a bit more research, but, you know, a bit inward, no, you know, by home base. And, you know, you have like 2 or 3 or 4 guys to one girl, and some of these guys really and truly ain't even thinking about using a condom. Some of them might, you know, ejaculate inside the girl, and nobody ain't bothered. We still gaining.
And I really want to thank you for coming here and being real with us and sharing your experience. Sex is not the easiest thing to share about, and I really want to thank you for your time, sharing it with us, and sharing it with the entire Caribbean. Love, protect, respect. Live up!
Protect yourself.
Respect. Hi, my name is Faye Lion. This is your girl Denise Joshua Belfont.
Well, this is Bungie Garland.
Once you love yourself, it's easy to do the right thing. Because by loving yourself, you tend to want to protect yourself.
Respect yourself, most of all because you belong to yourself.
And by protecting yourself, you tend to show respect for other people. So guess what? Love, protect, and respect yourself.
And don't forget, Live Up is on Facebook. Go up there, check it out. Live Up is on Facebook. Go and check it out.
Live up, shout, live up, live up.
And now the story of Paul that won 2nd place in the Live Up UNAIDS Man Up competition.
This is Paul. And Paul is HIV positive. But he tries to put the emphasis on the positive part and not the HIV. You see, Paul knows how precious life really is. So he refuses to waste it sitting around feeling sorry for himself. Instead, he tries to get the most out of life. He keeps his head high, does his best, and aims for the stars. Paul tries to be somewhat of an optimist. But as hard as Paul tries to keep his head above the clouds, his mind open, and his feet moving forward, there are some rainy days. Probably a little too much. Paul tries to be a man about the situation, but others around him make it hard for him to do so. And this is usually due to stigma and discrimination. Things like separating Paul out of the crowd and calling him horrible names could result in a very sad Paul. And sometimes the impact could be so devastating that it can result in no more Paul. But this just goes to show whatever you say or do can have a huge impact on someone's life. So before you go pointing fingers and calling names, just think about the consequences. Things could be so much better if you just see Paul for who he truly is instead of the guy with the HIV. And instead of branding Paul with a bad name, try using the one he was branded with after birth, Paul, a name that he could be proud of. Be positive like Paul, because you never know, something like this could happen to you. We should all man up, make the right choices, and be kind to people. Remember, live up, love, protect, and respect.
So much creativity in our Caribbean community, Corey. Now to take us to the end of this Live Up World AIDS Day special, We Love We Sell, the winning music video in the Live Up PSI YouTube competition from the Jamaica Youth Theatre.
Bye everyone.
We turn up our message on the street. We are conscious youth and we are to be. Ahead of time. We say use a condom every time. Don't turn your attention at the prevention. Access to condom distribution. Yo, no stigma, no discrimination. We're taking it to zero. HIV infection. Yo, my sister, queen and princess. Yo, my sister, daughter and empress. Caribbean virgin and all youth man. Live up, love, protect, respect. Hear what the youth them a say. We get